All right, the next thing we're going to do is start typing the information that's in the resume itself. And you'll see now why these tabs are so important when you start actually typing them in. So if you haven't already, click behind your email address, press enter a couple of times because we're going to leave a space right there because we're going to put a line there later on. Now, the first thing you want to type is objective in all caps. Colon. And then you're going to write, to obtain an administrative office position that will utilize my talents, education, and experience. Utilize my talents, education, and experience. This is just something right off the top of my head to get you going. All right, then you're going to press enter. How many times? 2. We always leave one space between each heading. So you automatically know that there's a space. You can tell by turning your paragraph markers on so that you can see that, the spacing. Now we want to type education, all caps. This time, we want to press tab. And notice that it jumped to 1.5. And for here, you can type anything you want. I mean, you can put Florence Darlington Technical College, anything right now as a container to hold this information. But you'll clean the resume up later. But right now, it's just demonstrating how you're going to do it. So just put in Administrative Office Technology, Florence Darlington Technical College. Is that too much? And at the beginning of it, right in front of administrative office, you want to probably type A-S, capital A period, S period. Associate of Arts in Science is what that means. Now, it looks like we're too long because our name is so long here. Let's take off it Florence Darlington Technical College. Let's just say we'll delete that off because I need you to see this next tab. So we'll shorten that up later. Now when you have the Education AAS Administrative Office, when you press tab again, it's going to automatically align up right. So when you type in the expected graduation date, so we're going to say expected May 2017. Now, you see how that works? It's the right tab. So when you press enter, you're going to tab this time 2 times or 1 time. It should automatically align again with the next educational criteria. Now, you put high school. Or if you got a master's, doctor's, or whatever, you put your high school, and then you're going to tab and put your graduation date and see how it lines up. One of the methods you use in one of the keyboarding classes, the old keyboarding class we used to teach, we use tables. But I believe tabs are more efficient than the tables. Because if you forget you have that table in here and you turn it off, wait a minute, what is this thing doing? But if you set your tabs right, it'll automatically, all you have to do is enter and press tab, and it'll jump from left to right. So I'm going to pause the video here. We're going to finish typing this information in so you can see what it looks like. All right, keep typing. Follow that process. You want to type in work experience next, enter 2 times. Leave a space. Work experience. If necessary, make work experience. Enter under work experience if you have to. Break work experience up. Bring experience underneath. Yeah, and that way it'll look a little bit better. I'll just put anything in there you want to put. Who? Yeah, whatever you want to put in there. Doesn't matter. So now this is just a template of doing this. You're going to actually create this because you're going to go and do some research to plug in some information.
Now, the same spot where we did the expected, do we need to do the dates of
When you,
employment?
yeah, dates of employment.
Do we need to put the specific date or just the
Just you could just do the year range, really. Yeah, you don't have to. You won't. There's no way I can remember the exact dates I worked. No. If you know that information, put it in there. If you don't, just do years.
And then I can be present?
Yep. You see how that lines up much easier? It looks better because you're in control. If you try to use the table method, it works, but the table will drive you crazy.
I do have a question.
Okay.
Do we need to put all of our work experience? or just the-
Relevant. Don't leave gaps.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So what if you worked at 4 administrative office positions? And let's say the top 2 administrative office, the one in the middle is Walmart, and the one on the bottom is somewhere else. And you take out Walmart in the middle, see, that's a gap. They start asking questions. What did you do for this time frame? So if it's a gap, you leave it in there. If it's at the end, leave it off.
So like,
If it's relevant, keep it. So those are the thoughts you have to do.
so I had to take years.
We better record that. Put that on and record that.
So if we had, how do we do our job experience if we've got more than one?
You have more than one job experience. What you do is you list the job experience from top to bottom. Now what happens is worry about gaps. So if I have 5 jobs that I've worked on and job number 3 is in the middle and it's not relevant, you really don't want to take it out because that creates a gap. And that gap in employment raises eyebrows when you're in the office. They want to know, well, what did you do in this time period? So if it's part of the entire window of opportunity in terms of years, keep it. But if it's on the bottom, say 12, 13 years ago, and it's not relevant, leave it off. It's not important. What's important is what you're doing in the last 3 to 5 years. Now, you can show your overall employment now if that's what you're trying to strengthen. If you've been doing the job for 20 years, yeah, show it all. That shows you're a valuable employee.
So what if you've been raising children for 30 years?
Then your work, if you've been raising children for 30 years, then part of your work experience still is the same thing. Yes, you're working at home. Is essentially that's a job. And you want to show that you still have the ability to organize. You organize kids' lives to and from school every day. You coordinate the effort to pick them up. You go to PTO meetings and those kind of things. You still can show that you have some experience with organizing something. You know, even though it's not work experience and you've been at home, you still can show an employer, I have the ability to organize and still do things. Some of them may not accept it as work experience, but they will accept it as personal experience.
That was on the Family Matters episode I watched yesterday.
Explaining that?
Yeah.
I didn't watch Family Matters, but that's just life.
Yeah.
It's just life, and that's what it is. Because women work from home more than men do. But that doesn't mean you don't know what to do. If you have,
Kids, I mean,
you raise 5 kids. I mean, you have to know how to organize something if you're raising 5 children. You cook, you clean, you organize the stuff, you pay the bills, you do all those things. That's organizational skills. You're going to have a
So I took 2 years off to take care of my dad for cancer. And then that was my
That's fine. You just if they ask you that question, well, what did you do between the years X, Y, Z? And that's a knock him out of the chair. Well, you know, I had to give up employment for a while. I had to take care of my dad. He had cancer.
Okay.
Tell him the truth. Don't lie to him.
Oh, no.
That's the main thing. Don't keep it away from them, because then it shows many of the organizations now are going into making sure that employees get what they need. And if you have the insight to take care of family, you need time off. That's what the Family Medical Leave Act is about, so that you can take that time off to take care of a loved one. Those are dedicated employees, and you want to also make sure that you're able to get back to work when you can. Did you press pause? Okay. All right. Keep typing into this. Hurry up. Roll. Type something in there. Next thing, I'm sorry. Because you're going to have a lot of work experience in there. Press enter. One more time. No, it's still work experience. So go back underneath work experience. We don't leave a, yeah, we do. We still leave a space between them. Work experience. Enter again. Put tab. Work experience number 2. Just say work experience 2. A work experience 2. Number 2, tab over. Work experience date.
So I need to do that where I have cookout?
Yeah, that way, you're just showing that this is where this information goes.
Are we gonna see this?
Oh yeah, you press pause. Did you re-recording right?
Yes.
You didn't. You need this recorded. Okay, undo.
Can we, are you actually, where I can see all of this?
Yeah, we just leave it recording this time.
Okay.
Press record. Undo. Did you press record? You sure? You sure you're recording?
I'm recording now.
All right. Yeah, so what happens is all I'm doing is leaving out the other information. I'm just typing in for additional work experience. I'm just saying work experience. Or I'll tell you what, let's erase work experience and say job number 2. Job number 2 or 3. And then tab over job number 3's dates. And then enter again. And then job number 4 and so on. That way you know that that's what's going in this area on the resume itself. And this is one that I teach from a long time ago, but it's the same thing, very similar to the one that's in the book, but I want you to do yours like this for now. All right. Then we'll enter one more time. And then we can come down and we'll type in professional organizations. Let's break them up. I'll break them up. We're going to type professional organization underneath. That way, you're doing this when you have 2 names like this. You're doing this so your tabs will still line up right. Because if you don't, your tabs won't line up right. So your tab now, it should line up. Okay, and we're going to say American Red Cross. I don't care what you put there. Volunteer. Well, you need a name because these are names down the center. Places that you work. You can put the date here if you like, if you need to, dates that you worked. And then press enter again 2 times. We're going to type in skills. I'm sorry, in the margin right there. Yeah, and right there, skills. And then tab, you're going to enter whatever skills there are. This is likely going to be on my recording, so if this thing is going black, like this, I'm pausing so I can take this out. So anyway, just tab now. Your skills will be there, whatever that is. That will be proficient in Microsoft Office. It could be professional development, comma. Same place. We'll go back and put it on the same line with proficiency in Microsoft Office. Right here, we're going to say professional development. Office procedures, customer service, tab. Got a tab here so it lines up right. There you go. And whatever else you think the skills that you have. We'll talk about skills that I want you to have. This is just one of the resumes that I show at this level. And as you go through the program, I show you a more advanced creation of a resume so that you can accent your skills, because you're going to need to show the skills and education are the 2 things that you're going to have, more importantly, if you don't have a job.
You never had a job.
That's what I was just saying. We're going to later on, when I show you the more advanced resume that we'll create, you're going to show your skills and your education, because that's all you have. They'll go at the top. Because right now we have education up here. Typically there's another resume where I have skills on top or skills over to the right side. So you can immediately show them. I think I gave y'all the sheet of paper the other day with that resume that I like. that's the one you'll create when you become a senior. Because I want you to show them what your skills are. I want you to show them that you have the education to do this job. If you show those two things, you stand a good chance at getting a job, even though you don't have experience. All right, so we're going to keep on the last couple of things. We're going to type in. We're going to press enter a couple of times. And then awards, if you have any. And whatever that could be a CNA degree or CNA certification, Microsoft Office certification. These are some things that you can have that will show that you know how to do the job. And the final thing I want you to put on here is references.
Now here, do I need to do two?
2 spaces, yeah. Always 2 between them. All right, and the last thing is references. Now remember, when you enter twice, you're only leaving 1 space between the previous content. And then tab, we're going to say available upon request. Typically, that's usually what everybody does, is say available upon request. That way, if they want to know your references, if there's anyone who can vouch for you, available upon request, you can provide that information to you. Most of the time, they don't have time during an interview process to look at your references. Now, if you want to attach the references with your resume, that's okay too. Okay, that's going to end this video. Let's scroll it back up at the top real quick. Let's take a look at what it looks like. I mean, it's going to be longer than this. Keep in mind, in the work experience area, that's really what's going to push the resume down to take up that page. You want to limit your resumes to about 1 page if you can. You don't want it to be too long because time is precious. Time is money. They don't have time to read 10,000 things you have on your resume. They want to see what you offer, and then when they get you in the interview process, they're going to ask you specific questions so they can gauge whether you do know what you're talking about.
Now, with our work experience, do we need to type the position we held and a brief explanation of what we did?
Yes, you can. And what you want, that's the bulleting part underneath in the resume. We didn't cover that here, but likely when we start putting this together, I'll show you the bulleting part. That's what that second tab is about. So let's just put one of them in here so you'll see. Come back up to work experience, life way, right after the year. Over here, press enter. And then tab. Now you can do a bullet, right, tab again. Tab one more time. You see where it went? It went down to the second one. Where'd you go? Right there. See, it's lined up now with the second tab. Now do your bullet. And then now you can type the information. Keep it brief. Key holder. You don't need to type all that. Enter again. Next skill, whatever that is. But just type something brief. Okay? And then you get to explain these things in your interview process. This is just one of many resumes you can create, but this is one that I'd like for you to try now, because the skills I'm looking for here is setting your tabs and organizing the information in this manner. If you can organize it this way, you're going to be okay, because I want you to learn to create the resume as opposed to rely on other resume tools. Now I'm going to show you something, so don't try this, because if you do, I'm going to know. I don't want you to use a template. Click on File, New, type in resumes right here, press enter, and you'll get a ton of them. I don't want these. And I can tell when you do them. So don't give me this. I don't want this. Now, if you want one that I really like, the basic. Click on basic. And see, it comes right up. It's almost what we got. But I believe this is a table. You know how I know? Look at these little things right here. On the right side, those little dots right there, that tells me this is a table. And when you click on the table properties up there, click on that little button, click it. Now turn the grids on, see it's a table. So I can tell if you go in here and you try to manipulate this and you don't know what you're doing, that's how I'm going to know when your data is going to be all over the place. Because you may be trying to type in the communication side, and it's going to be way over here, and everything's going to be in this one little block. I'll know that because you're not familiar enough with the table to know how to manipulate it. So there are a lot of resumes out here that you can use. Once you understand the creation process, then you can go pick one. Then you'll know how to manipulate it. Okay, we can close that one. All right, any questions right now? Any concerns?
This is the functional. That's what I got in my head.
This is the functional, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, this is functional.
That's what you said we're going to be working on.
The functional resume. Because I want you to learn the process of creating one first. Then you can go back and pick any of the templates you want to use. Because you have to understand how to manipulate them. If you don't, you're going to be in trouble. All right, let's end this video.